All my plans are coming to fruition. Sorry, George wanted to be in the video, and I couldn't resist the urge when I have a cat on my lap to be a Bond villain. I do have a script. Hi, I'm Nick. My channel is Fusion Space, and welcome to my 200 subscriber special. This one will be a little different, as I feel that now is the time to inject a little more of my personality into the channel. I've doubled my subs in about a month, largely due to the success of one video that hit 1,000 views, KnightFall, and then 2,000 maybe a week later. In short, this is the fastest my channel's ever grown, and I'm honestly kind of stunned by it. But I know that when I watch other YouTubers, I realize that I like them as people as well as their content, and if people want to connect to me, I have to at least put myself out there. So this is pretty much that. So while I scripted this intro, I'm going to go off script in a bit and talk about my personal history with comics and why they're so important to me, and talk about the future of the channel in a meandering way. And if opportunity allows, I'll try to be funny, but not try too hard to be funny. I think we all hate that. The TLDR version of this video is that I want to talk about my dad dying when I was young and how comics helped me through that, how I'm also a toy collector and papercraft artist, and how I'd like to branch out into movie and game reviews, still in the superhero genre, positive and negative, I think, and how I have a ton more comics and ton more comics to adapt, so storytime isn't going anywhere. That'll always be the core of the channel. But this the split between my superhero comic stuff and the more artistic end of the channel, which is not as popular, but it's not meant to be. I know it's going to be less popular because it's more artistically challenging, and I want it to be out there, and I hope it'll catch on eventually. That's the kind of thing that I expect will be a cult classic later on, or if it's ignored, whatever. I don't regret any of the work. I'm proud of every single episode. I think they all hold up on their own and are pretty much worth watching. The earlier ones have more editing errors, and that gets to me watching them, but the story themselves usually makes up for it. Um, yeah, now, oh, also, I'll be starting a Patreon shortly because that seems to be the thing to do. And it's not like I have a job, it's steady work, I make enough money, but I get such a joy of artistic validation when people watch my videos, when people like and comment. It fulfills me in a way I really haven't had it before. And if there was a monetary, if it was even $1 a month, that would mean so much to me emotionally. So that's the real reason I'm doing it, not because I'm trying to turn this into let's monetize this. I have no idea what the monetization bar for YouTube is, so I barely know how to read the analytics. Uh, but yeah, that's okay. So the first part, I'm doing a Jenny Nicholson style numbered list here. Number one, when I was 11, my dad died. And I was pretty much a normal kid to that point. And he was the perfect father. I have nothing but good memories of him. Even when my mom would yell, I'd be scared, but they never, it was never that scary. Just normal adult things. So I have nothing but perfect memories of him, and he died of a heart attack, completely random. He was in the prime of his life, fit as a fiddle, they would say, but kind of maybe a steak and eggs kind of man from that generation. Heart conditions do run in my family, but he was 4 years older than I am now. He was 44, and I just turned 40 a few days ago. And till now, my life has not had much direction, except in terms of fiction and media, all that, all the things that don't make you money. I've had plenty of drive to do all that, but I've never had a career or anything I was driven to do long enough that I stuck with it and succeeded. So, you know, that's why this channel and the meager success I have means so much, because I pretty much have nothing else that I can be proud of in my life except, this collection of toys, which gives me a ton of pleasure. But if you're not in the toy community, I understand how we look. I've gotten those looks buying toys since I was a teenager, and it was obvious that I wasn't buying toys for a child, and I was too old to be buying them for myself. But the thing is that I love these characters. I love them in their primary form in comics, and they feel very real to me. Because when my dad died, I knew that I would need a male role model. I was very cold and logical. I was like a Vulcan about it, because it didn't hit me emotionally. I was very sad for my mother, but I didn't really feel what she was feeling because of how children are wired. I don't know, I guess I shut off something inside. But I found Superman as a role model, and I clung to him, and I read the comics, And not only did he always know the right thing to do in every situation, I always agreed with him that it was the right thing to do. And these aren't, I don't want anyone to. Superman always had traditional Midwestern morals, traditional American morals and values, not, they have been categorized as liberal now, but equality used to just be an American conceit. That we welcomed immigrants used to just be an American thing when I was growing up. It's become politicized. But it wasn't like that. And Superman comics in the 90s, I haven't done it yet because they're so internalized in my heart. And imagine if you were to play your father in a movie. How would you feel about performing that, this idealized figure in your mind? You know. Anyway, it was a window into the world, and the other heroes gave me more perspectives. And to be honest, I've always loved escapism because I don't like being myself. I'm just a baseline human with no powers and, meager abilities, dexterity, cleverness. You could roll my stats and it's not that impressive. But you can be something else with the imagination, and that's always thrilled me. That's why video games, when I play them, I'm pretending to be Batman. I've always engaged in escapism as hard as I could. I guess it's a kind of meditation. I can't say it's a healthy lifestyle, but if you are inclined to want to take trips away from this world, that's what I'm here for, is to help you get out of it for a while. The storytime episodes, I will stay off screen, but if I do movie and game reviews, I'll probably be on screen a lot more like this, because that's part of the presentation, and it's, I don't mind doing it. But story time, I want to create another world for you to get into, and if I ever cut away, it would kind of take you out of it. Those black borders are like a movie theater almost, the dark of a theater. To me, anyway. I'm very high concept about the whole thing, because I am inside a very pretentious person, and like one of my favorite YouTubers is Kyle Colgren, possibly the most pretentious art critic on YouTube, but I love him. I love his work so much, and he gets a lot of... Stay off Twitter, Kyle. I love you. Be like Lindsay. Leave it behind. No, I don't want to get involved in any of that. I would love to meet these people. There's so many YouTubers that I love and admire, but I don't ever want to get into the political sphere. I want to stay out of that part of it. Use James Rolfe as a model. He's always been so good about keeping his content available to everyone. I don't want to exclude anyone from enjoying what I think art is for everyone, and we can all come together in the sphere of art and leave our divisions behind. Artistic criticism is something that's fun to argue about, which is why I would love to get into movie and game reviews, making points, logical defenses. I did a few Star Wars reviews that are defensive of The Last Jedi, and Sean even said he just found my channel today. No, Google just delivered his message, but he put it in, because I know he subscribed like yesterday. Oh, Sean, you're in the video now. Yeah. I think it's pretty freaking awesome too, that people like what I do enough to want more of it, enough to subscribe and say, yeah, I'm going to come back and see what else. If I'm ever remembered for having told a good comic story, I would be thrilled to have that as my legacy. Being a likable person, I don't know if I can do that. I've always been very nervous about putting my personality out there because I didn't want to market it, but... Oh, market this sweet little kid. He is the sweetest cat in the world. This is George, named George Clooney by my mother. I've had him for 10 years or more, and he is the best cat in the world. He hunts mice around here, and he's really good at it, and he just purrs the loudest purr you've ever heard. Let me bring the mic over. Yeah. And so he's the best cat. And that was him using the litter box earlier, if any of that stays in the edit. Right. See, this is the ramble part. How much am I going to edit this? I don't know. But another reason I'm going to start a Patreon is because I just signed up for Kyle's. It's the first time that I've contributed to an artist on there. And I got to watch his Starship Troopers Part 3 video, and there's a lot of really raw, personal, emotional stuff in the rough cut. And I was inspired. If he can do that, if he can put that much of himself out there just for his patrons to see, then I can do this. I can let you into my life and my heart and soul this much. Because I don't fear criticism. You can criticize me, and I have a very thick skin. I always take criticism intellectually, see if there's anything valid there before I take it emotionally. So, I could do toy reviews too, reviews of everything. I didn't want to. There's so much review content out there, but if the people like what I do already, and then I have reviews also kind of peppered in, that would be okay. I'd be okay with that. That's not adding to a pile of unnecessary stuff. People might actually want my perspective because they know I understand these characters, which I think has some value these days. I know that I realized that was something I could market with my deep and intensive comics knowledge because I've spent 30 years in both universes and a lot of independent stuff. My current project is Batman vs. Predator from Dark Horse. It'll be the first Dark Horse book I've covered. And they're a fantastic company. I'd love to do maybe like company reviews because there's Image I love, there's Dark Horse, there's Malibu. There's something for pretty much every major company that I can showcase and put out there. And I think these are great comics. Now, I have kind of been out of comics since about 2011 when DC killed my universe with the. Which event was it? Flashpoint was when they brought the new 52 in. And this is the universe that I grew up with. These were characters I identified so strongly with, and now they've been turned into versions of themselves that are, have been heroes for 5 years and are just starting out. And while some good books came of it, Grant Morrison's Action Comics is the best thing in the line, and it's almost worth it itself entirely because it's so good. Morrison is my favorite writer, and I love when he does superhero stuff because when great writers who do art stuff do superhero stuff, they elevate it beyond its form to something really special. I think comics can be very entertaining. I think there's a lot of value in just entertainment and escapism. But I really do think there's more to it. There's meaning that you can bring back into your life and improve your life with what you learned in this other world, being someone other than yourself. It's always good for us to get another perspective. And speaking of that, you may have wondered why I'm so good at being a million different people. I have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. I'm on medication. I don't have any symptoms, but that's part of it. I'm very open to having other personalities and channeling other things, other identities. But it's an art. It's just an imagination construct. It's like as long as you concentrate on it, you can hold it. It's like a Green Lantern construct in that regard. God, I spent so many years of my life obsessed with having superpowers, with wanting superpowers, with wanting just a Green Lantern ring to fly down out of the sky and find me. And now as an adult, I realize I probably would not have been suited to it. I probably would have had a more of a villain arc given the emotional conflict I was going through at the time. Um, thank God we grow out of being young. Just say that. Another thing I'd have on the Patreon is commentaries because I don't say that much about the comics in the review itself, or the adaptation itself. Like there's a little beginning and end, kind of telling you the context of the world or what it did or the effect it had. But I could say a lot more about how I discovered it, what it means to me, what I feel the deeper themes are, pointing out things that maybe everyone wouldn't notice that are really cool. Like just in the Night Quest video at the end, did you notice when Bruce is on the floor with the henchman and he has the gun in his hand and he is still in a wheelchair? He is still basically an infirm and he has a gun that could save him and the woman he loves. Full stop. He could shoot the henchman, shoot the bad guy. This is over right now. And instead, because he is Batman, he throws the gun away rather than use it. And this is contrasted with Jean Paul, who was firing machine gun shurikens from both gauntlets at every bad guy in Gotham, and Bruce throws the gun away. And things like that. I think I could provide an intelligent commentary, because I do see these things almost like movies. That's why I don't mind a 2-hour runtime if it's a really good story and it deserves it. Everyone is pretty much the length that I feel the story deserves. Because I'd rather tell the best story I can and have it be too long for some people and thus be unpopular, because they'll be there forever, I hope. I hope this will be something that I can actually contribute to culture, and especially to YouTube, because YouTube has given me so much over the years. So many creators, so many hours of entertainment, and I really want to give something back to the community as a whole. So I think that's about all I wanted to say, and this is a pretty good length. I could leave this up pretty much unedited, you know? You have an idea of the flow of my speech and my ideas, how the commentaries would come out. And of course, this is like $1 a month if you want it. You know, I never want anything to be unaffordable for people. I wouldn't even have anything higher than $5. I can't even imagine what I do for that. You know, I very much undervalue my own efforts. So, you know, believe me, I'm not trying to monetize anything. And I grew up in the 90s when that. Okay, it was at this point my camera filled up with video, so this portion is audio only. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, and I was rambling beyond having a point. So thank you for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing to 200 of you. I hope we get to 1,000 and I can start making polls. That's the number for when you can make text posts and let people know what's going on, or do polls on like what people would like to see next. You know. So, but that's an outside goal. But when I started, I never expected 100 or much less 200 less than a month later. So, staggered by the growth of the channel already. Thank you very much. Please stick around, more to come, and I will try to keep improving my content. This new mic, hopefully maybe one day I can get a camera. You know, that's it. That's the last thing I wanted to end on. That would be the purpose of the Patreon. I'd set the money aside and I put it toward buying a camera because I do want to, you know, the idea is you put money in and I will use it to improve the show because that's what you love. Not me as a charity, but the show, the thing that I'm doing. And that's what we're all here for, you know, the art itself. I just hope I'm contributing to the art rather than detracting from it. So, thank you.